with a representative of their lender and try to come up with a modification to their loan or some sort of solution.
That makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense, and the credit goes to the Maryland General Assembly for allowing for this. They passed the law to allow for mediation. But it's a somewhat complicated procedure. The paperwork that is sent to the homeowner is often not easy to understand, couched in a lot of legalese. And I know there's a law right now that some legal service providers and housing counselors and other agencies are working for in Annapolis that would make it simpler, that would give people a little bit more time to respond to the request for mediation, make the process a little simpler. So making it easier for people is big. I think
that
also
would help.
Yeah, it would help enormously, we think. But also in the general scheme of things, I think we really do have to focus on making sure that the funding is still there, because we have so many really good organizations in Maryland that are providing legal services that if we know we've got the full support of the General Assembly and the governor, and I think at the moment we do, and if the politicians understand how vital it is what we do, then I think we're going to be in better shape than we are. There's a huge need out there, but there's a lot of people like Maryland Volunteer Lawyer Service, Legal Aid, other providers who are prepared to do the work and the heavy lifting, but we need to know that our politicians have our back. That's crucially important.
Absolutely, absolutely. How can our viewers help?
Well, if they're lawyers, they can always call us and donate their time.
So you're looking for folks?
Always looking for volunteers.
I guess the more volunteers you have, the more services you can provide.
Absolutely, and there are always people who like I say, who fall through the cracks for whatever reason. Maybe their issue is a little bit unusual. We don't have a volunteer to match with that issue at the moment, or like I said, we're statewide. So sometimes there's somebody out in Washington County or Frederick County, and because they have a relatively small bar in those areas, maybe there isn't an attorney who can help. If you're an attorney, call us. We absolutely want your help. Also, if you're an individual and we're a nonprofit, we're a 501c3. We're always looking for people to volunteer their time, to talk us up. Tell people if you've been helped by MVLS or you know somebody who was helped by one of our attorneys. Tell people about our service. Word of mouth, quite frankly, is the best way to get information out about legal service providers, because so many people are low and moderate income. They're not always on the internet. They're not always, dealing with the legal world. So word of mouth is important. Talk us up. Offer to volunteer. Sometimes we have opportunities in our office, and we have a satellite office at Johns Hopkins Hospital. There might be possibilities there. You can always donate. We're a nonprofit. But most importantly, talk about MVLS. Talk about legal services. Tell people that we're out there. And if you know somebody who's been helped by MVLS and they had a good experience, then please, by all means, make sure you talk about how important it was for that person to get legal service, and talk us up.
And they could contact you through the internet or through telephone?
Absolutely. You contact us. I mean, the best way is always, our emails are on mvlslaw.org, and feel free to send me an email. My personal email is richard@mvlslaw.org. Very simple. Feel free to send me an email. And our phone number's on the website as well. So it's not hard to get in touch with us. The best way is via online, but you could also call our 800 number.
Right. We've talked about the gaps. We've talked about problems that folks have. Could you give us some success stories?
Well, I mean, there's been so many.
Yes.
I mean, one story that sticks with me is, and I hate to keep going back to foreclosure, but it's just been so huge, is an individual, a man who was lived up in Harford County, the kind of person who was a workaday guy, never thought this was going to happen to him, but he ended up getting a notice of intent to foreclose, had kids, and the possibility of losing his house was right in front of him. Well, we got a volunteer attorney for this man, who worked out a modification plan, worked out a payment plan with his lender. And this person was so thankful that when we went to Annapolis last year to talk to the General Assembly about our needs, he came with us. He said, I want to stand up and testify in front of the House committee and tell my story. So when you've got somebody who's willing to truck down from Aberdeen because and go to Annapolis to testify in front of a House committee,
Yeah.
somebody who's not maybe necessarily comfortable or familiar with testifying in front of politicians, when you've got that kind of appreciation, you know you've done a good job.
Yeah.
And that's just one example. We could go on for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's important. Thank you. It's important for people to remember that the numbers and the dollars, there are people behind there.
Oh, absolutely.
They represent people. They don't represent. Some bureaucrat cadging in a free lunch somewhere.
Well, I think that's one of our problems, unfortunately, as a society, is we're always thinking about the bottom line. Okay, that's fine, but the reality is these services are provided for a reason. There are families there are people there are communities that are suffering.
And we are, as long as this recession goes on, we'll continue to suffer at higher rates. That's the reality of it.
And I don't know where the end is, because like I said, those numbers, people calling us, sending in emails looking for help, they just keep going up.
Yeah.
So if the end is in sight, I haven't seen it yet. That doesn't make me feel good.
Yeah, yeah. But it should make you feel good about the fact that there are the people out there that know when they've been helped and are appreciative of it. And I believe on a fundamental level, as we talked earlier, in the wisdom of the American people.
Yeah.
And we are a fair people. We are a compassionate people.
Well, I'll tell you something. That panel of 3,500 volunteer attorneys who, when you call somebody up and they say, sure, I'll take that case. I mean, they don't know. I was talking to an attorney just the other day who had helped one of our clients. I believe it was a contested custody issue. Low-income mother who wanted to get custody of her child. And he said, I spent 200 hours free, pro bono on this case.
Wow.
He didn't say it in terms of, gosh darn, I spent 200 hours. He just said, hey, that's the time it took.
Yeah.
You get something out of it when you help people. And you can see at the end that something positive has happened. A mother, reunited with her child, a family keeping their home, somebody, something simple like a landlord-tenant issue where the person can't get their security deposit back. If you can help them get their security deposit back, that $700, $800, that could be, that's food for a few months. That could be
life and death.
It is. People don't even realize
life and death.
That a few $100s can be life and death for people.
Folks should read some John Grisham novels to get an idea of the real people behind these issues.
And I think if we had a better grasp of that, I think we'd be showing a little bit more compassion, both nationally
Maybe we should
locally.
have folks read The Street Lawyer.
Yeah.
That should be required reading, huh? Perhaps. Well, thank you, Richard. I've appreciated talking with you, and we're just about out of time. Could you give us that contact information one more time, please?
Absolutely. Toll-free number is 1-800-510-0050. And always go online if you can, www.mvlslaw.org. That's mvlslaw.org. You can apply for services online and find out more about what we do.
Yeah, it's a very good website with plenty of links for folks to
Absolutely.
to learn more about these issues too.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Bill.
For Neighborhood Beat, that's about all we have time for today. I want to thank our guest, Mr. Richard Chambers, Esquire, Deputy Director of the Maryland Volunteer Lawyer Service, for being our guest today. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you, Bill.
Keep up your good work for all of us.
We'll do our best.
And keep trying out there. Keep trying out there.
We will do our best.
Lord's with you. Lord's with you.
Sounds good.
And for Neighborhood Beat, I want to thank you for tuning in. Let's try to be a good neighbor out there in all of our neighborhoods, and we'll see you next time.